Hey everyone, Tara-Nicholle Nelson here. This is the third day, the final day of our on-ramp into the 10-day writing challenge for conscious leaders and creators. This is a fun day because I get to share a little bit of my inspiration with you guys. So when I first started doing these writing challenges, there were like a number of people, there were a handful of people, and it's grown a little bit over the last couple of years. But there were a couple of people who their words and their work and their writing really inspired me as I was just putting the challenges together from the beginning. So I kind of decided to call them our patron saints of the writing challenge. These are all people who have had the same creative impulses to create that we have, that you and I have. They've had all the same obstacles to creativity and productivity and leadership and making bold moves in their lives that you and I have. And they've transcended those obstacles and they've become incredibly prolific creators. They've also become very prolific and transparent in the way that they share their journeys and their process with us. I like to think of their work and their words as like blessings for us. They're little blessings that they've said over us. And I think of us as their sort of spiritual descendants in conscious leadership and conscious writing and living. And so take these words. I'm going to share just a handful of quotes with you from these patron saints, tell you why I named them as patron saints. And I want you to receive their words as sort of a little blessing or benediction for your challenge. Let's start with Seth Godin. If you don't know him, he's definitely like one of the modern leading edge minds of marketing and business. And he doesn't call himself a conscious marketer or business person, but he for certain is that. He's written 18 books. And he's also written a blog or an email every day for 16 years. So he shares a lot about how consistently writing and shipping, like writing and putting your work out into the world, is a gateway to communicating with incredible power and clarity. And it's also a gateway to creating anything you want to create in the world. Seth likes to, so this is a quote from him that I really like. Even if no one read what I wrote, I would blog every day. And I think everyone else should too. Because if you know that tomorrow you've got to write something about something you noticed or something that might help someone else or about an opinion that you have that you want to stand the test of time, then you'll start forming those opinions and noticing those things and inventing those ideas. So his thinking is a little bit reversed from the way we normally think about it in the challenge, which is that the process of itself is great. He's saying like just by knowing that you're going to be writing something the next day, you turn your brain into this sort of idea and creativity generating machine, which is also true. And if every day and every week you leave this trail of your thoughtful way of processing the world behind, then you just can't help but get better at whatever it is you seek to do. So that's all the stuff that just happens if no one else ever reads it. But then if someone else reads it and trusts you more, then you hit the jackpot. Because for those of us who want to be transformational leaders, the goal is to be trusted in a way that you can make the change you want to have happen in the world. That is Seth Godin. Next up is Ava DuVernay, who's incredible. She is a publicist who decided she wanted to be a filmmaker, so she did. And she's made films like Selma and A Wrinkle in Time. And she's written and spoken a lot about what she calls permission culture, that in our culture we've taught people, we've learned, many of us, that we have to have permission or money or time or something to do creative things. So she's constantly talking about, like, do not wait for permission to do something creative. Just start, just do it. Just to elaborate, she says, so many of us work from a permission-based place and we don't even know it. We're waiting for someone to say it's okay, to give us the green light, to give us the money, to tell us how to do it, to guide us through it. And some people do get lucky, but most people who are out there doing the things that you want to do or think you want to do, taught themselves how to do it themselves and just figured it out. And the sooner you do that, just get out, step out and begin, the sooner you will start to find your own momentum. And the other piece that she says that I really like is this: you have to begin and it won't be perfect and it will be messy and it will be hard, but you're doing something and you'll be on your way. So I love that. All right, Julia Cameron is literally my godmother in my own mind, just FYI. So Julia Cameron has written her whole career has been a series of books on the intersections of writing and spirituality, like this. So she wrote The Artist's Way, which has been very, very influential in my own life and my own daily writing practice. She is the one who came up with the phrase morning pages, that you should write 3 pages longhand. She's a fan of longhand every single day of your life, just to process your world. And she provides all sorts of other insights in that book on how to get and stay creative, how to create a whole life that is focused on just you being your most creative. When I see my business and my work and my leadership as my art, and how it is my way of creating things in the world. So when I first started to look at things that way, I started reading a lot of books about art and creativity, and The Artist's Way was one of the first very, very pivotal ones. She's the one who came up with the phrase spiritual windshield wiper. She calls writing a form of meditation. And she says it just kind of alters by itself, the process of writing seems to alter the chemical balance of the soul itself. When we feel out of sorts, it brings us back to balance and equilibrium. It brings clarity. It brings a sense of right action, a feeling of purpose to a rudderless day, to a day when we're not sure what we're supposed to be doing. Just the process of writing can start to put us in the right place and remind us of what we should be doing. So her work has inspired a lot of the structural components of the challenge, and we should all be grateful for that. This is Anne Lamott, and she's also an incredible and prolific writer, and a writer who writes about writing. The writing challenge is for all kinds of writing, but I've done a lot of work in my own life and with other leaders in particular about putting their personal stories on the page in a way that builds movements and transforms the people who read it. The couple of things that I see get in the way of this all the time are perfectionism. We're used to being good and we want to do everything well. And writing doesn't always feel like a thing we can do that well. So we just don't. And the fear of hurting someone else, the fear that you're going to, in your writing, mention something or someone's going to see it and it's going to become this whole blow up. So Anne has written some very powerful cures for both of these things, both for perfectionism and for the fear that you will hurt other people with your writing. That is how she got her place as a patron saint of the writing challenge. On perfectionism, she has a line that I love, which is just that perfectionism is the enemy of the people, because wanting everything you do to be perfect will keep you cramped and insane your whole entire life. Google perfectionism is the enemy of the people, and you can read that quote verbatim, but it's pretty awesome. And so she actually encourages us to do something in our writing for publication that she calls the shitty rough draft. I call it the SRD. I teach it in my book writing course. But it's kind of an incredible tool in general for staying unstuck in your writing and in your life. By committing, I'm going to write words on this page. They're going to be bad. In fact, the whole job of them at first is to be bad. You start to create because it's fun and for the action of it. You stop taking your writing so seriously, and you kind of get out of your own head in a way that allows inspiration to flow and download. And oh, by the way, also allows you to practice writing and allows your writing to be good over time. Actually, I just found that quote. She says, perfectionism is the voice of the oppressor, the enemy of the people. It will keep you cramped and insane your whole life, and it is the main obstacle between you and a shitty first draft. I think perfectionism is based on the oppressive belief that if you run carefully enough, hitting each stepping stone just right, you won't have to die. But that's not true. The truth is, you'll die anyway. And a lot of the people who aren't even looking at their feet are going to do a whole lot better than you and have a whole lot more fun doing it. So I think her idea is don't look at your feet, just right. On the other point, the fear of hurting people, she wrote this powerful thing. You own everything that happened to you. Okay, just to be clear, because I've had people ask questions about this in the past, she's not saying everything that happened to you is your fault. What she's saying is act as though you own the spiritual cosmic copyright to talk about, write about, sing about, talk whatever about anything that has happened to you in your life. You have the ability, you possess the right, you own the right to all of that intellectual property. So tell your stories, write your stories. If people wanted you to write nice things about them, they should have behaved better in the first place. So that's said a little tongue in cheek, but the truth is you do own the right to talk about, write about in your personal writing, which is all we're even doing in this challenge, or publicly, anything that actually happened to you. So don't hold back from expressing what you need to express, or relating an experience you need to relate, because you of what someone you think someone else might feel or think in reaction to that. It's none of your business. Finally, Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who is the final patron saint. She wrote Women Who Run with the Wolves. If you've heard of that book, it's pretty brilliant and will change your life. But I like this piece that she wrote in a letter to a young activist 20 years ago who knew it would be this relevant today, right? Very relevant today. Her words here are beautiful and relevant to us. She says, one of the most calming and powerful actions that you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. The light of the soul throws sparks, can send up flares, builds signal fires, causes proper matters to catch fire. To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others, both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. Listen to this. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. So these words take and receive as a blessing on your 10-day writing challenge. This is an incredible moment in time in which you can fully light your soul and cultivate being willing to show it. So let's do it, guys. I will see you in your inbox around midnight Pacific. Take care.